Hello, I'm John Cheek. I'm the founder of UniTasterDays, and with these videos, we provide you with really useful information so that ahead of results day and clearing, you're in a really good space to make fantastic decisions. This video is going to talk about how to tell whether a clearing course is genuinely right for you, and I'm joined by Alice from Northumbria University. So Alice, first question, how should students start narrowing down their options without feeling overwhelmed?
Of course, so it is natural to probably feel overwhelmed with the process of clearing, whether that is, external pressure, internal pressure, hearing lots about it from your peers. And obviously there are potentially thousands of courses that will be live in clearing. So hopefully today we'll drill a bit deeper into the steps you can take to make sure that you're feeling prepared for that, hopefully helping with that overwhelmed feeling. So initially, we're going to start by looking at 3 things that you should start to explore when looking at all those courses that are available in clearing for you. So number 1 is thinking about the subject that you wish to study. So we're not looking yet at specific course titles, but just thinking about the overall subject that you want to study, the area that you're interested in. Number 2, we're going to start thinking about how you want to learn and you want to study. So obviously some courses might be heavily exam-based, others might be more coursework. There might be courses that have a lot of independent learning. There might be ones that are more geared up to group learning and project work. Have a think about what has worked for you in the past, the ways that you enjoy learning, and have a look for courses that match up with that style. And the third big thing to initially think about is obviously the location, so where you want to study. Be realistic about the location that you can study in. Do you want to stay local, close to home? Do you want to use it as an opportunity to move away? Is there a city you might have visited before that you might like to live in, for instance? Once you've started to think about those 3 initial things, so the subject, how you like to learn, and a location, you will have been able to narrow down those thousands and thousands of choices to a much smaller group. And that's when you can start to delve into some more of the nitty-gritty. So looking at entry requirements, modules, a year abroad to study, a placement year if that's something you're interested in. The thing I would also recommend with this is to write this down. So when you're doing your research, start writing all of this information down. That can be on your phone, it can be on pen and paper, it can be on a laptop, but to have this list of potential courses and universities to refer back to when you're on the phones to the clearing hotlines is really going to help you feel calm, feel prepared, and make sure that you're making that informed choice. On top of that, you can start preparing this now. You don't need to wait for the morning of clearing. A lot of the information is already on universities' websites. Clearing is officially open, so that information will be out there to start looking for now. The subject, how you want to learn, location, and then drilling into those finer details as well. So making sure you're writing that all down and planning ahead if you can.
Love that, Alice. Thank you so much. And I love the mention about location because so many students end up living where they studied after they finish uni, and location is just, such a big one. So everyone's going to think clearing, they're going to think about grades, right? So what are my grades? What are my options and stuff? And that's naturally going to happen. But beyond those grades, what practical steps can a student take on the actual day, which for A-level students will be results day, to get a feel that the university is going to be right for them, but linked to that, the course that they're going to study probably for 3 years is going to be right for them as well?
Absolutely. The first thing that I would encourage you to do is to speak to those universities that you're interested in. So phone them up. All universities will have a clearing hotline that you can speak to, and you will have clearing advisors on those who can start to answer some questions, maybe about some of those things we touched on in the first answer. So talking about contact hours. So what that means is the amount of time that you will spend in your classes at university, so in your lectures, your seminars, thinking about that teaching style. You might be able to speak to them about a university's career service and what that has meant for graduate outcomes, where students have gone on to after studying a specific course at university. And one thing that I would recommend, if you can do, it's something that I know Northumbria offers and other universities do offer as well, is the chance to speak to an academic, as well as those initial clearing advisors that you'll get through to. Lots of universities will have the option to speak to or register for a call back from an academic, so a teacher on that course. And they obviously are the ones that are working on that course day to day with the students. They know the students who they've been teaching really well. And I think that's a really great way to get an insight into that course and to really get a feeling about whether that course is right for you. So again, you can ask them about modules, you can ask them about students they've previously worked with, what they've ended up doing, if they've done a placement year, where they've ended up on that placement year. And as well as that, the website is a great place to start, all of universities' websites. Have a look at the modules that are available in the course. Look in the first year what you'll be studying. Does that excite you? Have a look ahead to year 3, potentially your final year of the course. Does it still excite you to be studying that course? As I mentioned in the first one, thinking about location. So what sort of location works for you? As John mentioned, this might be a city you end up moving to for the rest of your life. That was for me. I studied in Newcastle and I have stayed here since. So think about, do you want to be in a big city? Would you rather be in a small city? You might have heard the word campus. So do you want to be on a campus-based university that is further out of a city centre? Or would you prefer one where the buildings are around a city centre, for instance? Some universities, like Northumbria, combine the two of those. Your feedback is great for student life. Would you like to be in the countryside, in the coast? Is there somewhere you may have visited before that you liked the look of? So start thinking about those. And those are some of those practical steps, thinking beyond grades, that you can begin to take in clearing.
Fantastic. And I look back, to be honest, Alice, at my own journey, and I've always loved the seaside. So no one ever said to me, and it wasn't their job, but no one ever said to me, John, where would you like to live for 3 years? Do you want? And I'd have probably said the seaside, but actually I went to university in Birmingham, loved it, but it's probably about as far away from the sea as you could possibly ever get, Alice. So I think location is I keep coming back to that, but such great advice about the wider picture. And actually it links on to the next thing I want to ask you about, and that's visits. So there's going to be loads of clearing open days and loads of university open days and all kinds of visit opportunities. And there'll be opportunities naturally as part of that to speak to academics, which you mentioned about a second ago. But do you mind just talking to me a little bit, Alice, about how important it is to visit a university before really committing down to your clearing and results day choices?
Absolutely. In an ideal world, yes, you should try and visit the university before starting with them or before accepting an offer with them. So as John mentioned, lots of universities will run open days or maybe visits to campus tours over the clearing period, so you can get a feel for that university potentially before you accept an offer there or before you even explore receiving an offer from that university. That might also give you a chance to look around accommodation as well. So ideally, yes, it is important. However, we know that obviously clearing can move at a fairly fast pace. It might not be feasible because of distance and what have you to come and visit a university beforehand. A university might not have open days on that work for you. So if you're unable to visit a university initially, one thing you can obviously ask when you're on the phone to a university is there a chance for me to come up and visit before starting the course? Do you run open days closer to enrolment, so when you're the starting date of the university? If I came up and decided I wanted to change based on that, how easy or hard would that be? If it is completely not possible to come and visit a university, there are other alternatives. So pretty much all universities now will have some form of virtual tour. So I'd absolutely encourage you can just search the university's name, virtual tour, it will be on their website, and that'll give you a chance to look around the campus. They might also have virtual tours on the website of accommodation, of any specific facilities for the subject that you're interested in. Another great way to find out about what it is like to be a student in a specific city or university location is to look on the university's social medias and see if they've had any things like a day in the life of a student at this certain university, and they'll tell you about all the different areas in a city or a location that students go to, where they might live after their first year outside of halls. It gives you a chance to hear from a current university student what life is like in that place. As I said, ideally, if you can visit a university, I would recommend that. If not, hopefully that gives you a few sort of practical tools to use if you can't.
Thank you. Again, fantastic advice. And let me talk now a little bit about the results day situation students might find themselves in, and everything you said then about university events. I was just nodding. I run a university events site, so I love university events, but it's great to get your picture on that. But everything on results day for a student is probably going to move pretty fast. So they might get their A-level results. They might then straight away find out if they've got in their first choice or their second choice university. And if you're wondering why that is, by the way, it's because universities get students' grades if they've applied to them a little bit before the student does, to allow that all to happen so quickly. But what would you say to a student that feels like on results day they just need to make their decision immediately? Is that pressure real, or can they push back on that a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, to a certain extent, there obviously is some pressure. Universities do want to make sure they have students on courses and what have you for planning reasons. However, I think often it feels like a lot more pressure than there is actually there. For instance, universities don't want you to make a rushed decision. We want to make sure you're making the right decision for you and you're going to be attending the right university and the right course, and they are there to help you make that decision as well. If you are ever on the phone to a clearing hotline and you feel like you're under quite a lot of pressure, it is absolutely fine. And I would encourage you to say thank you very much for speaking to me, or thank you for this offer. Please, can I take some time just to go away, think about this? Maybe you want to speak to your teachers or advisors, speak to parents or adults at home. And you can even say to them, what is the latest time that I can call back today if I want to speak some more about this? What is the latest time I need to call back to give you an answer in response to this offer? And leading on from that, normally when you are given an offer in clearing, that doesn't need to be an immediate decision. You don't need to say yes in the next 30 seconds when you're maybe on your phone in your school corridor. There will be a certain time frame that comes with that offer, and that might be said to you verbally over the phone, but it should also be followed up with communication from the university, normally by email. And in that, it will tell you the time frame in which you need to respond to that offer by. So that might be, if you call up on the morning of clearing, they might want to hear back by the end of the day or by lunchtime. It might be a couple of days, it might be a week. It will be different depending on the university and the course, but there's never a point at which you would need to say yes on the spot whilst you're on that phone call. So for instance, at Northumbria, if you were to call up and you'd speak to one of our advisors team and they were able to make you an offer, you would then receive communication after that phone call to tell you what the offer was, just in case in the moment you're a bit like, what did I actually get an offer for there? The course and the time frame that we're looking at, that you would then need to refer yourself to us on the UCAS website. And other universities will follow very similar processes, but they will be able to advise on the specific processes they follow. So in essence, yes, obviously this is an important decision you're making, and with that does come an element of pressure. However, you absolutely can, and I would encourage you to push back on any times where you might feel a bit panicked by it, to give yourself the time to take that space, to slow it down and make sure you're making the right decision for you.
Alice, that's such wonderful advice. And thank you also for being so impartial. Like, you're joining us today from Northumbria. So with that in mind then, how can anyone watching this find out more about clearing opportunities available at Northumbria University?
If you go onto our website right now, the homepage is live with our clearing website, which will tell you about the courses that currently have space in clearing, as well as some handy guides for parents and advisors, some frequently asked questions that you might want to look through ahead of time. The phone number for our phone line is on there as well. It gives you a bit more advice about what will happen on the day. And as I say, keep an eye on that, because closer to results day, there might be changes in the courses that are available in clearing as well.
Alice, thank you. Some fantastic advice there around the central topic of how to tell whether a clearing course is generally right for you. And that was Alice joining us from Northumbria University. Alice, thank you.
Thank you, John.